All right, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is Aldreama Harper. I'm a podcast launch strategist, and I am super excited about my guest today. Her name is Kelly. We're going to get into what Kelly offers, and we're going to get into a little bit about everything or everything a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. And so we're going to see how this goes. We were talking a little bit before we hit that record button about sometimes I do kind of, go on a rabbit trail, but we're going to kind of keep things under control a little bit. We'll try anyway. So Kelly, thank you for joining me today. I'm super excited. Before you respond to any of that word salad that I just offered, I'm going to go ahead and just share a little bit of you, and then we'll just kind of, move forward.
Sure.
So for those of you that do not know Kelly, I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Is it Duffin or Duffin?
It's Duffin.
Duffin. Okay. I wanted to make sure because when I saw that, I was
okay.
like, I don't want to mess it up, because it sounds like muffin, right? It's pronounced like muffin. And so Kelly Duffin is an advanced holistic health practitioner. And so she helps reach optimal health by customizing complete lifestyle programs for her clients. She's a trailblazer in the realm of holistic health, neuroscience, and the power of the subconscious mind. Over the past 20 years, she has carved a niche in holistic health, achieving unparalleled success with innovative assessment and treatment techniques. So we're going to dive into her world and talk about what that all looks like, because that's a lot of words. You better live up to those words, young lady. All right, let's go. Talk about what you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's chat.
Sure. So I'll put it in a nutshell. Years ago, I was not well. I grew up very sick. I was always not well. And I ended up with several autoimmune diseases, excess weight, panic and anxiety, skin issues, just mess, just an absolute mess. And I was having surgeries and quite large ones and different things going on, different medications, and nothing was getting better. And so by 20, I asked two of the specialists that I was working with what was going on that was causing this all to happen in my body. I didn't have any family history of these things. And both of them said different versions of the same thing, which was, oh, this is normal. This just happens to some people. And it didn't sit well. And so I decided to put myself into school just for myself, I was doing ambulance dispatch at the time. And I just wanted to learn how the body actually works all interconnectedly. So that ended up leading me through 12 years of education in health sciences, holistic health, which is how the whole body works together as one interconnected unit, gut health, the gut-brain connection. That led me to neuroscience, neuroendocrinology, how our body is affected by our brain and our mind. And throughout that time, my body self-corrected. Everything just set itself right. And I wouldn't have needed the stuff that I had done, the surgeries, the medications, I wouldn't have needed them at the end of the day had I known what I knew. And so I thought, okay, well, this must work for others. I had 5 people close to me that had 5 health challenges that were all different. So I said, would you do an experiment with me? And if I can create a program for you as a unique individual with your challenges, can we just see if it works? And sure enough, it was a different time for each one. Everyone's different, but their bodies also ended up correcting. That's not to say this is every single person all the time,
Right.
But that's what happened. And so I thought, okay, well, I built up the credentials. I might as well put them to use. So about 13 years ago, I owned my own practice, and I've just been doing that 100% of the time now over the last just more than a decade.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible. I mean, you just never really know how amazing the body is, first of all, and everything interacts with everything else.
Yeah.
And so, wow, that is absolutely incredible. So is that, that's obviously how you begin to pursue your career as a holistic health practitioner.
Yeah.
So when you work with clients, what are some of the common beliefs that often come up, and how do you help them to overcome that?
Usually the beliefs are nothing works for me because I've tried everything. Another belief is that diet and exercise is the answer, which never works long term. Those, or, you know, it works for other people, but it won't work for me. And this is just how I am. You know, these are just common things I'm always hearing.
Wow,
Mhm.
wow, wow. And so you're out to prove them wrong.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. So walk us through, walk us through what it means to like embody your authentic self. Like, you know, and how that impacts the overall health. Did that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
My
it
question.
does.
Okay,
It
okay.
does. So newer science has shown that our subconscious is actually 95% in control of the physical state of our bodies.
Wow.
And the body is so objective. It's never locked into a way of being. It follows who we believe that we are and how we believe our bodies are. And so it's really true statistically that about 98% of people fail to transform long term physically because they're failing to transform their identity first. And
Mm.
so our nervous system, that deep nervous system, memorizes everything that goes on in our bodies from birth right through the rest of our lives. And however our bodies have been in a consistent way over any type of period of time, the nervous system will keep you there. It calibrates you there. It thinks this is your norm. And so we go doing diet and exercise usually, and these surface level things that don't really speak to that nervous system and the subconscious. And so when we stop, the subconscious says, I am this person with this disease. I am this person who's overweight. And your nervous system says, wait a minute, that's not how this body is. This body is actually X amount of pounds overweight. And so everything just recalibrates back. And then interest comes with it because your body's trying not to get unbalanced again in future. And so it's been shown that when we can lock into the identity of who we want to be underneath the excess weight, if we didn't have it, or the autoimmune issues, if we didn't have those, but if we could lock into who that is, even before any physical changes happen, neuroscience has shown we don't need the physical changes to happen to be able to start to experience what those emotions would be. And it's a practice, but your physical cells will begin to alter their function, begin to change in as little as 16 seconds of holding the emotions of your ideal self.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I mean, so I can see why you are a trailblazer. Okay, so you're living up to that so far, so good. But I mean, that is just so fascinating. And I wish I could say I completely understand, but I do. One of the things that I've come to know is that whatever you tell your brain, it believes you, whether it's true or false.
Yeah. And the placebo effect is proof of that as well. That's huge.
Wow.
Which is for most people, if most people really have heard of the placebo effect, but it's where we might take a medication that is inactive, but we think that it's a real medication, and the body will change accordingly.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember if this was an episode of a show that I saw or something, but I think it had something to do with the person. It was a comedy show. The person kept saying that they were sick, and and then they weren't really sick, but the doctor gave them just, I don't know, it might have been just a supplement or something. And so they were like, oh yeah, that really worked. And it wasn't even, it might have been like a piece of candy. I don't know what it was, but that person believed that it was working simply because they thought that was the medicine that was going to fix the thing that was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So what did people think when you first interact, maybe your family, because, a lot of times we, are in spaces that maybe people don't really understand. It's like one of my friends, she said, I don't really know. I know you told me what you do, but I don't really know what you do, So what was the reaction or the response like from people that were close around you? Did they kind of think, okay, this is, kind of woo-woo stuff, whatever, what was the reaction?
They would listen, and my family, everyone's very supportive. So they would just say, okay, yeah, okay. And, back when 20 years ago, when I started doing all this, holistic was very woo-woo. It wasn't, and well, the doctor says this, and it could be different from and I would just say, okay, don't believe a thing that I say, just try it out and just see if it works. And so sure enough, I would start getting calls to say, oh, well, nothing's working. I'm always the last resort.
Yes.
So people would call and finally say like, oh gosh, this happened. What can I do? And so they would just start reaching out and inquiring more. And as I changed, my body changed, my symptoms went away without my medication, without anything. And I think that really speaks volumes as well. It seems like this crazy phenomenon, but there's very real things going on. So
absolutely,
it was inquiries, I would say.
Wow, that is really fascinating. So I know your focus is on several physical health aspects like nutrition, gut health, sleep. How do these areas connect to someone's mental and emotional well-being? And you're like, give me the layman's term.
Yeah, of course. Well, no matter what health, wellness, body image challenge, mentally, physically, no matter what anyone is dealing with that's a challenge to them, there's going to be 6 different things that this stems from that are the 6 foundational principles of biological human health. And diet and exercise are 2 of them. They're not the first ones. And if we can balance these across the board in someone's lifestyle, not perfectly, but maybe 80%, that allows the body to self-correct. And the first is the mind, the subconscious. It connects to everything else. So it's how we think, our breathing pattern, our sleeping pattern, our movement, our nutrition, and the fluid balance in the body. And so the subconscious is really the conductor of this orchestra, and it orchestrates your nervous system, which controls our endocrine system, which is all hormonal processes in the whole body. And that all just comes together in a way. So the mind, like if we're not sleeping well, the human brain gets its repair during the night when we're asleep. And if we're not sleeping well, we might be getting some rest, but we're not getting that repair in the mind. And the breathing pattern, our brain is 100% interconnected with the breathing pattern. And our breathing pattern, many people have a chest breathing pattern. It's from a stress over time that they're not realizing, but it triggers a chest breathing pattern. And this will activate our neck and shoulder muscles, which triggers the stress system of the body. So it's all interconnected.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So what is the, I know you can't give me, names. I'm not asking for names or anything like that.
That's okay.
So what is some like the worst case scenario that, that you had, and what was the transformation that happened?
I've had MS has been an interesting thing for me to work on over the years. There's so many different cases that I've seen, and many of them just were able to correct. And again, I can't ever say this is a blanket statement for everyone, because everyone is so different. But MS was definitely the worst that I've seen that did correct. Severe anxiety, depression, panic, that's been corrected. There was a shoulder injury, and they were going for their 4th shoulder surgery. These things sometimes have to happen over the time. And this was a baseball player. And The problem was with the big toe and the opposite side foot. So, and nobody was catching this.
Wow.
And so, the body is so interconnected that when we don't catch these things, there was an MS case, and she was in a wheelchair, and she was told, you have a couple years left to live. And the issue was actually her mouth was full of metal fillings, and so full that environmentalists would have to shut down a huge pond if that was her body. And so removal of the fillings, heavy metal detox, she's fine, just fine now. So there's different causes for different people, but more severe mental emotional would be anxiety, panic disorders, depression, and then physical MS, fibromyalgia, type 2 diabetes. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, this is just fascinating.
It is.
I mean, wow. I mean, do you ever just sit back and say, wow?
All the time. All the time. I am just as surprised as everybody else all the time when it works. All the time. And it doesn't matter how many patients I've had. At this point, 729 over the last 13 years. And it doesn't matter how many times it happens. I am just as flabbergasted as they are. It's just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are there a lot of people in your space? I mean, I know you're the trailblazer, so we want to make sure you keep that title. All right. So
I haven't actually found. So I think there's a difference where if you go through schooling for health as a career, you're going to focus on the area that you want to focus on, that you want to learn about and get your credential in. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of dollars. And so I think the difference is that I never wanted a career in this at the beginning. I really just could not stop learning. And so I went to all these different areas. I had time and I had dollars. And so I was able to do all of this. So I still have not hired anybody to help me because I can't find anybody that's been through the same type of schooling. And I think that's a huge piece, really. Yeah. So I hope that there are other people that have done it.
Wow. Wow. And, and I've heard, of course, holistic. And so what are some of the obstacles? I mean, I know from a patient perspective, what about people in other industries like yours? What are some of the pushback that you get from them?
I guess a lot of things that just aren't understood. I get a lot of pushback, I would say, from that. Usually I have a very good relationship with, I speak to my patients' doctors and we have great relationships, and we usually don't get to, but I'll push for things. Like if I get a patient that says they've struggled with acid reflux their whole lives and their doctors put them on antacids without testing their stomach acid levels, I will push for that. And doctors won't tend to do that. But the leading cause of acid reflux is not enough stomach acid production. And so when they're automatically put on antacids without having that tested, it irks me. It bothers me. So I think I'm the one that's pushing back. I'm going to be like, no, cover more bases.
Yeah. Well, and so, because a lot of, in the medical, typical medical arena, I mean, I'm glad to hear that, you work with, physicians and, with their doctors and stuff, because, sometimes when you go to a doctor and you say, you're going through, whatever the ailments are, the first thing they want to do, of course, is give you, some kind of medicine. And I'm not saying that, because I don't want to get canceled, because I don't want somebody to come after me. Oh, she's talking against them. No, because I've had to go to doctors myself. Okay. So,
yeah.
But again, I really appreciate the fact that, that you work with the patient's doctors, because, and what the point that I was getting to was that in my own personal situations, like for example, I'll share this. So I had vertigo really, really bad. Now I've had it like most of my life. Like in the car, I couldn't write, or while the car was moving, or, I didn't have the luxury of enjoying going to an amusement, park or the fair or what have you, and getting on the rides because it would make me sick. So that was, as I was, growing up. And then, through my adulthood, I had maybe periodic episodes of vertigo. When I turned 65, it was like it just turned up. Okay. So, and I went to my doctor and everything. And so, but I will say this about the doctor that I have. He is a great doctor, so, you do the Epley maneuver and things like that. But what I discovered was that a simple deficiency, which was vitamin D, fixed it.
Yeah.
That was it. Vitamin D. And so, for me, I didn't want to go I don't want to live life like that, being concerned about when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of, people my age, go through that. And I discovered, a lot of the fact that, vertigo is, there's some, because I had to do some research too. When I was going through this, I was like, I don't want to be on medicine. So I'm 65 years old. I don't take any medication at all.
Amazing.
And so when I started, taking the supplement, I was like, wow, this is, that was a deficiency. But I also discovered that, vertigo is related to osteoporosis and all of that, and when I talked to my doctor about it, they kind of dismissed the supplement thing. He kind of dismissed it. Well, there's not any evidence that shows it's, connected. And the thing I wanted to say was, it's working on me. So I don't know. I'm not sure where I was going with that. I just wanted to give my example because, you find a lot of people, particularly my age and older, that sometimes they just don't do the research, or sometimes they don't have the resources or someone that's an advocate for them, and they're on medicine and they don't have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm certainly not against medication at all. I think it can be an excellent tool.
Yeah.
It's such an annoying shame for people that do suffer if it's not necessary first, not necessarily needing to be involved.
Yes.
That can be a challenge for sure.
Yeah. And and of course, in my own, my family and, parents and, as, older, parents who may not even know anything about the internet, they just, I remember, so funny, my dad, when this was years ago, he used to say, he would hear me talk about, viruses on the computer, and he thought it was something that you could catch. Bless his heart. And so, but, I'm just, and so he was like, called me Dreamer. He said, Dreamer, you better watch out for that virus, it's down those computer viruses. I said, okay, Daddy, okay, I will. But I just said all that, to say really, I so appreciate what you do, because there is an alternative way to deal with a lot of the sicknesses and illnesses and things that people just kind of take for granted that, when you and again, I do want to again put this disclaimer out there. I am not against medicine either. And I know you're not, like you just said, that is not what we're talking about, but we are offering, ways to become more aware of other things that, resources and tools and resources that's out there to help you overcome some of those challenges. And you don't have to just settle, for, just anything. Like with my vertigo, I didn't want to be on medicine that makes me woozy, because that medicine is just like, I don't even feel like myself. And then, and so when I took it, before I became aware of the vitamin D deficiency, when I took that medicine, like I just wanted the vertigo to go away. I was like, I just want this to go away. But then, the medicine, I didn't want to be on any kind of medicine. And, I just was determined to find another way. And so I just kind of did, research. And so I'm not a health nut or anything like that, but I want to live a good quality of life for the, the years that I have, remaining on this earth. So I didn't want to interrupt your flow either. So anything else you want to say to the people that's listening that may help them in this, in this challenging, very challenging world that we're in today? So
I would say the best thing to start with, no matter what is going on, even if your life is awesome, but focus where it's good. And in our bodies, where we focus is where we put energy, and we cause things to grow in positivity or to grow in ways we don't want in terms of, our energy and our health. And so if we can focus where we feel good and focus on the emotions of what it would be like if we were the physical representation of how we want to feel, your body will automatically begin to follow that. And so will your habits. And so that's first. And, I always say, like, the 6 things: drink your water, make sure it's filtered, very simple. Try to not stay up too late. Go to bed by 10 if you can. Watch out for too much screen light, especially after sunset. Like, very simple things. I think these things are the most important things they can do. Go for walks. It's an excellent pumping mechanism for the body. Lift heavy things. Our body loves muscle. It's a great predicator of our longevity. And once we can do just tiny little things, I think a big misconception is that we have to do all these things, and who the heck knows where we can start. And oh my gosh, there's so much, and I'm going to have to eat healthy the way I don't want forever. And not true. Just, aim for 80% of the time to do these simple things. And I think that's the best place to really start.
Wow. Small. Wow. So are your patients primarily in person, or do you do like virtual sessions? Or, how do you serve your clients?
I used to have a holistic health clinic in BC. And then certainly since COVID, but over the past few years before COVID even, I work online now with people all over the world, just solely online.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay. So I want to make sure I ask all the questions. I'll probably have questions after we get off.
That's okay.
and that always, happens. But so I guess one question, what advice, and you did, I kind of want to hear a little bit more.
Sure.
So what advice would you give someone that's feeling extremely overwhelmed about the first step to a healthier, or I don't like to say balance. I like to use the word harmony, because I don't believe if balance is this.
Yeah.
Life doesn't work that way.
Right.
And so to a more harmonized or harmony focused life, that's my term. So what would you say to that?
I would say breathe. If you're overwhelmed, you're not in the present moment. So
That's so good.
yeah, and it's very common. Our brains are problem solving and solution focused mechanisms. They're designed to not think right now. So we got to pull them
Yes.
back. And so if you're feeling
Wow.
overwhelmed, there's two things going on. You're probably breathing up here through your mouth. So in through the nose and deep into the low belly. That will help switch on the rest repair system of the body, switch off the stress system. Then I would automatically think about what are my thoughts? Because if I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's an umbrella statement. There are usually there's over 70,000 thoughts a day that come through our minds, and 95% of those thoughts are subconscious. We get feelings, we get emotions, so we get overwhelmed, stress, anxiety. Yes. We have all these umbrella emotions, but as soon as you ask yourself, what thoughts do I have access to right now in this moment? Your brain will start to give you thoughts. Those are the subconscious thoughts that are driving your emotion of overwhelm. And so once you're breathing and you start slowing your breath, deep belly, your brain will automatically slow down because that's how they're connected. So your mind will slow down, and then you can say, okay, I feel overwhelmed. Valid. But what's the reason? And your thoughts are usually going to be in the past or in the future.
Somebody else wants to get on the podcast.
Always. Must never be left out.
So do you work with do you work with a lot of entrepreneurs or no?
I do. Yeah. A lot of entrepreneurs.
I was going to say.
Yeah. That's a huge thing. And I think that's another thing that's huge right now is since COVID, many people have taken that route into entrepreneurship. It seems to be more people, at least in my sphere, I'm noticing more and more and more people who, even if they're not solely an entrepreneur, they do have some type of entrepreneurship project happening on the side. So I work with many entrepreneurs.
Wow. Yeah, because we tend to get stressed a little bit. just a little bit. One of my friends said, entrepreneurship is going to really test you spiritually and emotionally, and everything else. That is like, the biggest test. When you decide that you want to go into entrepreneurship, prepare to be tested.
It's not a linear process.
It is not. And it is not for the faint of heart. I'm just, take it from someone who knows. It is not. There's going to be hills and valleys and highs and lows, but a lot of lows, sometimes for a long time.
Yeah, it's true. And people think it goes like this and it goes like this.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Wow. Yeah. So how can people reach you? I mean, I gotta say, this has been one of the most exciting interviews that I've done. And I really want to have you back. So I want to, make sure that I extend that invitation to anytime you want to come on my show. Please just reach out to me and say, oh, we've got a new discovery, I want to, whatever that is, but how can people reach you? And the information will be in the show notes just for those of you who are listening, but what's the best way for someone to reach you?
Oh gosh, I am everywhere. So I'm all over every platform. My YouTube channel is called Kick It with Kelly. On Instagram and TikTok, I am at Kick It with Kelly.
Wow.
And there is also a free training on my website because I get a lot of interest, and why not, learn a little bit on your own, but it's subconsciousrewrite.com. And then my email direct to me is kelly@subconsciousrewrite.com. Gotcha. I'm always posting videos and clips of all my interesting tips and tricks and fun facts that I know.
Yeah. So how did you come up with Kick It with Kelly? What was the inspiration behind that?
It's somebody else actually came up with it for me. And it was just because I said, I'm such a laid back type of practitioner. I'm very much, when I work with somebody, it's a partnership.
Right.
And we're hanging out together virtually,
Mm-hmm.
but B, we're going to kick the bad health stuff. We're going to kick the bad habits. We're going to, and just launch into a new thing. And so a very close friend of mine just said, kicking it with Kelly. And I thought, oh
Kicking
my
it with
gosh,
Kelly.
I'm just going to call myself Kick It with Kelly then, and just keep it fun and lighthearted.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Stuck.
Kicking it with
a
Kelly.
few years in, I thought I should make this sound more professional, but it's just what I've been known by for so long that
I say stay with it. Yeah, I say stay with it. I mean, it works. And when I saw, when looking at, your information and stuff, I was like, kicking it with Kelly. And I wanted to make sure that I asked you that, and I almost forgot. But I think
no
it's so appropriate. I really, yeah. Because I always like to know, some people have different, what do you call them? Now I can't think of handles. That's it. Yeah. Different people have, handles and stuff like that. So, and so if I'm interviewing someone and they have a handle, I always like to know, well, where did that come from? Sometimes it's from childhood, so you just never know. So I wanted to know that. I wanted to know that. Sometimes to slow down because my brain is moving fast, and then my mouth is trying to catch up with what's happening here. And and so sometimes they just collide. I mean,
Yeah. I do.
So yeah. Is there a fix for that?
That's a gift.
Is that okay? Well, thank you.
I think it's a gift.
Thank you for that. I will embrace that. Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm incredibly excited to see, all the things that God has for you in helping others to, get better, think better, be better, and so I'm just super excited. I'm so glad you were on the show. Thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. It's always fun to share.
Yeah, and I can't wait to have you back. So just stay tuned. Yes. All right. So anyone out there that's listening or watching, make sure that you connect with Kelly, and you heard her handle, kicking it with Kelly. Make sure
Kick it with Kelly. Yeah.
Kick it with Kelly. See, I got it wrong. Kick it with Kelly. Okay. Follow her on Instagram, on all of the social media platforms, on YouTube. But again, that information will be on inside of the show notes. All right. I'm super excited. And Kelly, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. And what's the cat's name?
It's Zoe.
Hi, Zoe. Thank you, Kelly and Zoe. Thank you for joining me today. I so appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. And thank you for joining me on today's show.